Welcome back, guys. Thanks so much. It's
Oh,
so good to be back.
great to be back. Thank you.
Yay. Well, the floor is yours. Amazing. Shall I start and do my
Ciao.
spiel? I'm going to spiel now.
Please, go away.
So my spiel that I have to give because of my licensing is this is not medical advice, no matter what we talk about, even though I am a TCM practitioner and may talk about things like medical advice, which it is not.
Spiel.
Thank you. And the other part of this is I think we're having some tech issues. So normally you can email in and then pretty soon you can call in, which is super exciting for us. But for tonight, if there's anything that you want to email in, we don't normally look at email at all while we're talking because this is just too fun. But you can always email us at yourdigitaldojo@gmail.com if you have a question tonight, and we can answer that because we will be keeping an eye on that. So shall I now give spiel number 2 about what we're talking about tonight?
Spiel number 2.
Thank you. Tonight we are talking about happiness. And ironically, I was going to say, it makes me want to cry talking about happiness.
Tears of joy.
Because I'm so passionate about this. And we've been teaching some classes on happiness lately. So we've been tying it into what we do, Dana's Black Belt Mind stuff with NAP, with the work that I do with Chinese medicine, all of it. But also, we've been researching and talking about all the things that have to do with happiness, whether that's neurobiology, neuroscience, what scientific experiments are showing, what sociology experiments are showing, whether it's there's a really not fun, there's a really interesting book out there where Archbishop Desmond Tutu is talking with the Dalai Lama about happiness and joy. So it's just a lot of stuff to bandy back and forth. And I'm so excited to share information with happiness because I don't think most of us know what it is or how to get it or how to sustain it or what the purpose is. And I say that because I was absolutely blessed and still am to have a beautiful family, and I had amazing parents, and I have a fabulous partner. And I don't think I understood what happiness was until I started really looking into it. I don't know about you. Are you just, I mean, I'm a delight. How about you?
I'm a magical sparkle full of wonder. Yeah, we're super excited to bring this conversation out to you because it's a conversation that we have between ourselves, that we're having with our groups and classes currently right now. So it's very top of mind for us. And we're just opening up the possibilities to discuss different perspectives on what happiness is, what happiness isn't. Why is happiness so important? Why are people pursuing it? Why is happiness the goal? Is it the goal? Will it stay the goal when you get there? All of those things are areas that we're exploring really powerfully and really wonderfully with the insights that we're getting from all the people in our classes right now. And it's stimulating us tremendously. We're learning, certainly as usual, more than we're sharing, because when people get into a space where they feel safe enough to actually ask the question that they're thinking, it produces unbelievable, profound, and thought-provoking conversation. So we're excited to have the conversation and continue the conversation. We're very excited to have it with any of you that are inspired to participate, to listen, to join in, to ask questions. And it's really fun because we're seeing so much of the material that we're talking about reflected in modern day science, but also connecting to, ancient thousands of years old spiritual tradition too. So we've been asking this question as a species pretty much from our inception. And
Yeah.
it's wonderful to be in a position to just contribute our piece of that continuing, ongoing human condition long question and share it with all of you.
So start here.
I think that'd be great.
Okay. So point number 1, we do not actually want to be happy 100% of the time, and it is not optimal to be happy 100% of the time. And that might sound funny. We might define happiness and joy in a minute and what it means. But some of it is when people are talking about being happy, 100% of the time, they're actually talking about more not hedonistic pleasure, but I went to a party and I'm happy. It's sunny out and I'm happy. This is delicious ice cream, so I'm happy. These are things that come and go. And if we are forever chasing those external things, we don't develop any internal source of happiness or what we will define as joy. The other thing is they've done studies, and you know how I love me my studies. They have done studies, and they studied a couple thousand people at university, and the people who were in the top 10% of happiness, when they checked on them 10 years later, they were not still the happiest. B, they weren't doing as well. They didn't make as much money. They didn't have careers that were satisfying. Their marriages and relationships weren't doing as well, in part because they were so used to being happy and enjoying themselves and having fun in university and up until then that they chose to not deal with the hard things. We don't want to live in the hard places. That can be depressing as all get out. And what's the point if everything's hard? But also when we let those moments of unhappiness give us some direction on, oh, I want to change that. I want to work on that, whether it's for me or somebody else. I want to do this differently. That allows us to continue to move our lives forward rather than staying in a constant state of what's the next fun thing that brings me some pleasure. And that's almost an animalistic thing, right? Not in a negative way, but you scratch your cat's belly, your cat's happy. There's some pleasure, but they might claw you a second later because you somehow missed the signal to stop scratching now. So we want to look for something more enduring, and a little bit of unhappiness, discomfort is often the trigger for that. So the people who end up doing the best throughout life, they find are the second happiest, at least with these couple studies that I looked at. So the second happiest are 80 to 90% happy. So they're unhappy 10 to 20% of the time. And they practice that enough to know what to do with it, to use it to move their lives forward. So they're not sunk and mired in the feeling that they can't move forward. And they're not living forever in pursuit of what's the next fun thing. If you're above 90% of the time, there might be some room for you to grow in different ways, which is kind of a fun idea, I think. And if you're below 80% of the time, you may have been taught or you may have inherited this idea that if you are unhappy, you are doing good work, you are focusing on the right things. I jokingly say bless the Puritans and ... because they did their best. They really did. And they kind of hooped it for a lot of people, because for them, they were saying, okay, the only way to get a good afterlife is by kind of being miserable and working yourself to the bone when you're here. Okay, I could keep going. What do you think?
How you doing? Wish you would. That was awesome. And it's great because I learn a lot when I hear you speaking to other people on subjects that we're very well experienced in speaking to each other about. So that's giving me a million ideas of a million different ways to go. I think the thing that's most present, though, is, and what's sort of ringing through my head most consistently, is that just reframed, or at least at the very least created the powerful possibility, what you just shared there and the science behind it just reframed the whole idea of a phrase that we all culturally hear and are taught, particularly in the Western world, that our goal in life is the pursuit of happiness.
Right.
So, this is where this gets endlessly exciting when we start to dig into what are the other
folks,
ways potentially
exciting means something different than you think as well.
It means an opportunity to totally nerd out is what it means. And this idea of the pursuit, right? The pursuit of something is the chase of it. To acknowledge that we're in pursuit of something, to acknowledge that we're chasing something, means that it is separate from us. It's at a distance. It's not embodied. It's not integrated. It's not where we are. It's somewhere else. And we've got to get to that place to get that thing. And in that pursuit, in that chase, there is an idea that once we arrive at the place where that thing is, when we close the distance between where we are and where that thing is, and now that distance is gone, we're going to achieve a sense of happiness, and that happiness, regardless of the pursuit of it, is worth it because of what it's supposed to pay off when we arrive there. That's a mouthful, but what's interesting about examining that, and from what the science seems to be backing up, is that we're actually not that super satisfied and lastingly excited about closing that distance and arriving in that proverbial other green grass. So it kind of like begs the question as to, well, what is it that makes that saying so powerful and so motivating to people, right? The pursuit of happiness. Maybe it's the pursuit part, actually. Maybe it's the part that is more the process than the product, because maybe it's the pursuit of that thing that feels like it will deliver a reward and satisfaction that is actually the most satisfying part of that formula. Not the arrival at the happiness, but the aiming at the happiness, the momentum towards the happiness, the courage to embrace a desire for happiness. Maybe that's where the real value is. And I would say, as I play around with these ideas and bounce them off of all of you wonderful folks, I get more excited about the idea of like, okay, well, what is that then? If happiness is the product, what's the process? Well, maybe the process is the pursuit. What's the fuel that drives the pursuit? Maybe that's something that we might call joy instead of happiness. And then that opens up, again, a plethora of, cascading possibilities that might give us a different way to connect to the idea of happiness and what it is and what it isn't. So much of what we learn as human beings about happiness is that, one, it's worth pursuing. But then we have this whole counteractive schools of thought that, from old spiritual traditions and cultural traditions that say, no. Actually, the pursuit of happiness is full of folly, and we shouldn't pursue happiness. We have to be austere and stoic towards.
They say it's full of folly.
Yes, they do.
Are they from the 1820s?
They are. Just like me. Right, we say that it's the path of the foolish person, right, to pursue happiness, because
you can use folly. I like
folly made me think of foolish, so I'm glad I used folly, because then I got the foolish. And I think people can relate to that too. I know I actually can, when we like set out in this direction, saying, oh my gosh, this is where my happiness lies. It's over that ridge. It's in that the scope of that horizon. I've got to accomplish this, and then I'll get to happy. And then we get there and we're like, oh wow, this grass kind of looked better from a distance. It's kind of green and withered, or sort of kind of brown and withered, like got lots of weeds like the grass I just left. So we can feel a sense of foolishness in that. Like, well, how did I think that this was going to change me in any lasting way? And when we experience the path of happiness and the pursuit of it, and its transitory nature in terms of deep, lasting satisfaction, it's natural to start questioning, well, what are the other aspects that, one, drive me towards this pursuit? And two, what are the components that make it kind of not as satisfying as I thought it would be for as long as I hoped it would be when I actually get there? And you.
So scientific fact, and by fact, I mean, they did a study. Scientific facts change, and I get quite excited about that. If they were to remain stationary, I don't think science is doing its job. As we learn and evolve, facts change. So they did a study where they took two groups of people and they asked them questions. And one group of people had won money, I think particularly large sums of money, and they were quite happy, not surprisingly. And the other group of people had been in accidents, terrible accidents, and their lives had been, and their physical capacity had been negatively impacted severely and permanently as a result. So they were very unhappy, understandably. And what they found is that it didn't take too long before both groups returned to about the same level of happiness as they were before those instances. Now, a lot of scientists talk about this as we have a happiness set point. And I am not convinced that's what it is. What I personally think it leads us more towards is that we, A, don't know what happiness is, and B, nobody has given us the tools, generally speaking, as a society, to figure out how to find those moments in ourselves, regardless of what's going on in the outside world. Does that make sense?
Totally. At least to me.
Okay.
I'm excited to see if it does or doesn't make sense to anybody that's hearing this, because that's fun.
So do you want to talk about joy, or do we talk about, I really want to talk about the homework. So sorry, I'm giving everybody homework. But it's exciting homework. Again, we may, caution and warning, we may view the word exciting as different than you view it.
Homework. Awesome.
Do we start with the homework, or do we start with joy definition?
Actually, the homework would be great.
Okay. Here's your homework should you choose to accept it. I have been doing this homework, and I'm
this is cool.
Yeah. Is that
awesome?
Still
yeah, it's great.
Nice.
Like, yeah, that's it.
This is very simple. Simple is not always easy. It's very simple. You want to build the pyramids? Stack a bunch of giant pieces of stone on top of each other. Very simple. Not particularly easy, I imagine. I wasn't there. I couldn't tell you, but didn't look easy. This homework is quite simple, which is when you're coming from a place of ego. Ego is not good or bad. Ego says, this is how I'm interacting with the world based on what I have decided the world likes best. So we kind of need that. It's very good when we go into the grocery store that people don't think we hate them. So ego is very useful. We just don't want to always come from our ego. And the other thing is, all of us, no matter where we are from, at a certain point, we lived in small tribes and groups of people. So we are trained, we have a negativity bias. Negativity bias is useful. When we know what might go wrong, we can be safe. When we can see that something is going wrong, we can keep ourselves and the people and things around us that we care about safe. And when we were living in small groups of people and our survival mattered, as long, like our survival depended on those people continuing to want us there, we darn well better have a negativity bias, because if we are doing something and those people start to look displeased, they don't even express it yet, you just notice that crinkle in their eyes and they start to glance away and they're not super interested in what we're saying, we notice the negative and we change our behavior, because if enough people dislike us, we get booted from the community, we freeze to death, we get eaten by a dire wolf. Is a dire wolf a real thing, or is it an urban fancy thing that I now think is real? Timber wolf. It's a timber wolf.
There we go.
You might get eaten by a timber wolf. You're not going to make it on your own. So the fact that we as humans have a negativity bias, not shocking news. People are pretty much in agreement about this. The challenge is, in our modern society, so many things ping our negativity bias. Oh God, I'm going to be late for work. That person doesn't seem like they like me. Somebody caught me off in traffic. I did this presentation that I thought people would love and they didn't. And that negativity bias starts to spin out of control. So this very simple exercise is to get your brain back to neutrality, start to rewire that neural network, start to make that neural pattern geared, yes, towards survival, but also for actually thriving. So when you find yourself in your head, for those of you like me who talk in your head to yourself, or you don't talk in your head, do you? Like, do you hear voices? I have a constant running monologue in my head. Like, it's a little chilly out today. I should bring a jacket. Is
feeling too much all the time.
So
I talk to myself all the time too, which is fun phenomenon.
So side note, they have ascertained that there's a large group of people in the world who have a constant running monologue in their head, narrating everything. And there's another group that it's just kind of crickets, which fascinates me. So those people are more prone to talk out loud because they don't have a monologue in their head, whichever group you are. When you find yourself commenting on something and it is either coming from an ego come from, want or need or preference, there's a negativity bias, or just something negative. Change it to neutral and look at the facts. Just bring it back to the facts. So, easy example. Oh God, what a terrible day it is out there today. Well, that might make sense because for you, if it's bucketing down rain and you've got things to do and the rain is interfering, technically that is a terrible day based on your ego and what you want to get done. And there's no shame in that, but it's still a negative aspect. Some people, I love rain. Rain to me is just happy times, reminds me of spring in Northern Ontario. Life is good. I might be looking out there and going, what a fabulous day. Bring it back to the facts. It is raining a lot, period. Not even it's raining more than the weather network said. It is raining a lot. Part of the purpose of that is because when you come back down to the facts, you give yourself space to then decide what to do with that information. It is raining a lot. I will bring an umbrella. It is raining a lot. Guess I'm not planting that stuff in the garden outside. It is raining a lot. I'm deciding to stay in today. Part of it is because it takes away the inherent negativity in that. And I have been accused on more than one occasion per day of being Pollyanna. And so I was looking at this homework and thinking, totally easy for me. I'm going to nail this. Took about 3 minutes before I didn't nail it. I threw on one of the music channels on TV, went to make myself a hot beverage of sorts, and in my head found myself saying, God, this song is so stupid. I hate this song. I'm going to change the channel. And went, oh crap. And honestly, took me another 3 to 5 minutes to figure out how to neutralize that statement. Because my next statement was not, I hate this song, it's dumb. It was, I don't like this song, negative, because this band makes dumb music. Also not true. It was a giant hit. Also doesn't matter if it was a giant hit or not. I finally got to, this song uses a lot of tropes. That might be the incorrect way to use that word. I apologize. This song uses a lot of tropes that were very popular in the 1980s. And it seems to consistently and repetitively use only those two tropes. And therefore, fact now based on choice, I am choosing to find another radio station out of curiosity to see if there is someone using more unique patterns. That took me 5 minutes. That should not have taken me 5 minutes. Even that, negativity bias. So that is your homework, should you choose to accept it. It is so fascinating to do, and it gives you so much space in your head. It's so easy. You can do it anywhere. It gives you so much space in your head, and you start to realize where things have gotten programmed in. Over to you with the sports and weather. No, weather, sports.
Sports games, by the way.
Sports games. Sports games.
Yeah, this is bringing me a lot of joy and making me very happy to have this conversation because, we have talked about these things a lot, working with people in our individual practices and in our group classes on this topic because it's such an important aspect of life, right? Happy. I want to be happy. I want to have happiness. And what's making me very happy about this conversation is that I'm still learning brand new things and thinking about this topic in very different ways than I ever have up to this point. And one of those things that I think is right along the line of what Colleen's talking about in terms of, the power of that negative bias. And, what is bias? Bias is an uninformed judgment, right? So it's like, I'm saying that this has value or it doesn't have value before I kind of know all the facts, before I've kind of had a direct experience of the thing. And it's making me think about why I'm finding this topic so fascinating and why I think, and we both think that this conversation and exploring this topic is so useful because in a very practical sense, in a very boots in the ground way, we're all directed by either the presence or absence of what we call happiness in a very profound way. Think about, people celebrating an occasion, right? I mean, heck, even like happy birthday, right? That's a very personal occasion that we're wishing happiness on people. Oh, I hope that your new life together as a married couple is full of happiness and joy, and you prosper, and happy birthday and happy anniversary, and like it's an energy that we use to mark important occasions. So on a certain level, it's something that I would say, and maybe this is just my language, but see if it makes sense, that we exalt happiness.
Mm.
We elevate it as like, oh man, this is a desired state above normal daily operation. And we hope that you get so consistently happy that it just starts to feel like your expectation. Like you just go out into life and it's going to just greet you with happiness, and you're going to greet it with happiness, and everybody's going to be happy. And then in a contrasting way, in a very powerful sense, on the other vector, the other direction, is that we also kind of like judge people for being happy too. And we kind of judge ourselves in a biased way around the idea of, oh, don't get too happy, right? Don't
Well,
be
even
big.
The Pollyanna comment, or like I've been told, oh my
For sure.
God, you're being Pollyanna again.
Right. And then I mean, I could give you a million examples of my own experience, but I think everybody can probably relate to this on some level. It's like, you walk into work kind of happy, and whether somebody says it to you overtly or the energy of it is delivered to you in a sense, it's kind of like, well, what are you so happy about? Why are you so happy? What do you get to be happy for? Kind of an energy. And sometimes that's even said to us, right? I remember as a kid, my father, God rest his soul, was passed on to the other side, was a military man, and a very old school military man, a good man, but very, very, very entrenched in those thoughts of military discipline. And he would often ask us, what are you so happy for? Like, because almost like it was like, well, if you're happy, you might have done something that was satisfying. And if you did something satisfying, well, then you lost your discipline. And if you lost your discipline, that's bad. And that's going to be a negative. There's going to be a negative consequence to that. Might not see it yet, but that's why I'm questioning why you're so happy. And I know to this day, it was a tool of his, that he was in a momentum of good intention with. But again, it kind of had that connotation of like, oh, if you're happy, you're distracted. Oh, if you're happy, like you've let your guard down. Oh, if you're happy, you're not paying attention on the important things that you should be paying attention to because you're too busy getting caught up in being happy.
Well, even when we first met and we'd be talking about something that you did not find amusing, and I would laugh and you would respond with, what's wrong?
That's because I'm a magical sparkle of delight. But yeah, perfect, right? Because that was a total expression of what I learned about the value and danger of happiness, which I give my father a lot of credit for. In a combat zone, yeah, you need a hypervigilant sense of focus and attention, because you miss one little detail, you're distracted for a second, and you're in a world of hurt faster than you could even say the word hurt. So examining those biases, and this is, I think, something that's kind of cool in terms of how it ties into the hub of the work that we do. Taking on those biases is learned behavior, right? In other words, it's inherited. We get those lessons and those models passed down to us from the people ahead of us. Yeah. And as we're working with the idea of inherited and ancient trauma, starting to realize that, man, you know what? Even though, like all of us, those folks that preceded us have a blind spot, and they handed down some information that may not be so functionally effective for the world that we're living in as compared to the one that they lived in, they had good intentions for the most part, right? People were doing their best with what they knew how to do. They're passing it on so to hope that we will learn and know better so that we can do better as well and do better than they did. So all of those questions are coming to mind in terms of why understanding what happiness is and isn't, and how it plays a role in shaping our choices, shaping our behavior. I'd say ultimately shaping our perspective and our experience just gets clearer and clearer to me the more that we examine it.
Yeah. And I cannot stress this enough. If there is one takeaway from tonight for you, if you are happy, if you walk into work or something else and somebody goes, what are you so happy about? There is nothing wrong with you if you are happy. If you are happier than other people, there is nothing wrong with you. And I also cannot stress this enough. If you are not in that second happiness tier, if you are not happy 80 to 90% of the time, there is nothing wrong with you. we're not talking about flaws in character in either direction. We're talking about finding an optimal level, finding what's in your background, inherited in your DNA, the things that you have learned and experienced, and helping you move those things that served to help you survive, but are no longer helping you thrive. That's what we're talking about.
Nice.
If there are two takeaways, and I will probably repeat this another million times, a lot of us feel ashamed of what we are doing right or wrong, and I'm going to air quote the heck out of right and wrong. We talk all the time about shame, and it is one of the lie feelings that we have. Shame is a not useful emotion. You can feel guilty about something, you can want to change something, that's great, change it, feel better. But shame tells you there's something wrong with you as a human, and it is not useful, nor is it true. And the example I usually give, because it is true, is if you have ever diapered a child and it is chilly, they will at some point in the diapering process pee on you, possibly in your face, and laugh their little baby butts off because they're not ashamed of it. They just think it's hilarious that you're sputtering. So,
and they're right.
Also true. So, happiness versus joy. Hit it.
Yeah, we've got, and we'll continue to have more resources up on the digitaldojo.net and all of our social media networks and channels to really dive into this topic, some like more extended ideas and definitions of the components that we're working with, because we'll put up different clips from class over the next months. So look forward to those. But what I want to share with you right now is really straightforward and simple. And the definitions are this, and it's great because they really hopefully exemplify the value of specificity and contrast, right? When we can look at two things and go, oh, well, those two things aren't the same thing. And even though they're not entirely different, they're different enough that we need to know when we're dealing with which one. So there's a few hallmarks of contrast that make examining happiness and joy really valuable and useful. So joy is what we would call an internal process that actually is unconditional and is self-cultivated and self-directed. Whereas happiness is actually an external product, okay, which has conditions to it. So it's conditional in terms of how it arrives and how we perceive it, how we interface with it. And it is more determined by factors outside of us, other people, other situations, and therefore we could call it other determined as opposed to being self-determined. When we look at those, and we even just consider the possibility that that might be true, and like we always speak to, these ideas come from like how we treat these two energies that we're calling happiness and joy in actual application in our work, right? So why they keep proving themselves as worthy of sharing is because the more we treat happiness generally, and I know it's oversimplified, but just for the sake of simplicity in conversation, the more we treat happiness like a result of something, a product, and the more we treat joy like the creation of something, a process, the more we treat them like that when we're applying them in situations to help people make better choices, to get more clarity, to clear up their internal confusion, to overcome traumatic experiences, the more that those things prove themselves true. So the more we treat happiness like it's the thing that we're talking about, the more it shows itself that, yeah, that's more likely, with more and more factual experiential momentum telling us that, yeah, that's there's truth in that. So if we can recognize that as product and process, happiness and joy, kind of makes sense that they would have an inherently natural working relationship together. What does the science reflect about that? Generally speaking, people who try to reach for joy in an unconditional way, like regardless of what's going on around them, they're trying to find the best of a situation, they're trying to see the opportunity in the situation, tend to feel more joy. Because people in that mindset tend to feel more joy, they like overwhelmingly, no matter what the cross section of measurement is, statistically express themselves as being happier. So in other words, it's easier for people who are cultivating the process of joy to see things in their, like if they're doing that internally, they see things externally that have a tendency to make them more happy.
And I'm going to say this again because I cannot overstate this. If you do not do that, you are not wrong. You just weren't taught it.
Absolutely.
It wasn't safe to learn it.
Yep.
Whatever the reason, you are not wrong. And you are not incapable of getting there. This is a learned skill set.
Absolutely, which is why we talk about it with such specificity, because we're breaking down the process of how to reverse that learning that taught you that anything that you were going to be happy about was going to have to be a matter of luck or be given to you from someone else or bestowed upon you in a way that you should be grovelingly grateful for, and that you better just sort of learn to live without it because it's so scarce and so rare that you're probably not going to get it. And if you do, you better be really grateful and cherish it because it's going to wear off pretty quickly and it's fleeting. It's temporary. And the pursuit of it, because of all those factors, can actually also not only make it not particularly something you can count on, but could also make it dangerous. Because if happiness is overvalued, the assumption is, and we've all been taught this on some level in some way, that man, if you're out there trying to be happy, you're not taking care of life. You're not taking care of business because life is hard and it's difficult and you're going to have to struggle and it's going to be challenging and you're going to need all your energy to barely have a shot at getting through that. So forget this happiness nonsense. But then yet on the flip side, we exalt it. I just want to be happy. I wish you happiness for all your days. The pursuit of happiness is the highest goal that we can attain.
Well, and now let's look at, say, in your past, you've had really hard things happen and nobody's taught you about joy. It's going to be hard for you to be happy. Never, like, no, of course you can't be joyous. You don't even know how to be happy. If you were brought up in a family that nobody taught you about how to do either one of those things, if you were brought up in a family where your religion or culture glorified hard work and not happiness or joy. If you're neurodivergent, right? No matter your kind of neurospicy, like if you are neurodivergent and your dopamine levels aren't as high, or you have a tendency towards an OCD version, you're on the spectrum, something like that. You're going, oh, I'm doing what makes me happy. And people are telling me it's wrong. I'm too much. I'm not enough. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just do X, Y, or Z? It's going to be very confusing. People are saying, just do what you want and you'll be happy. And then you do what you want and they go, why are you doing that? I'm not happy. So a big part of this gets to be reclamation of who you are. And that's part of where this homework, I think, is quite exciting, because when you can neutralize those things and find out where there's negative talk in your head, then you can start finding the things that there isn't negative talk about. Right? I was so extraordinarily lucky. I had hard things happen when I was a kid, but not like a lot of people. I had this amazing family. I still have this amazing family. Man, my family humors me. Dana humors me. Like, I get a lot of looks from all the people I love of like, you're doing what now? But they support me. That's more grace than so many people got in the first 20 years of their life. And I don't take it for granted, but it's beautifully the norm for me. If you don't have that, I'm sorry, but B, it just means, yeah, and I don't know how to play baseball. You can learn the rules. You can learn the skill sets. You can, and you are allowed to do it.
I got to breathe on that one for a sec because it's really profound. It's the underpinning of everything that we're doing and why we get excited about these conversations and,
Yeah.
you know, aren't stomping around the planet going, we're exactly right about everything. So if you don't listen to us, you'll never make any improvement. That's not it at all. We're just excited to share our experience and talk about possibility, right? Possibility, and put things out into the arena that we feel meaning for us and value to us, and offer them as an opportunity to examine if they've got value or meaning to you at all. Like I'm looking at our show clock and I'm blown away by how fast this time has passed. And you know, could take these topics in so many different directions. But what we really want to do is just initiate and create the possibility that there might be another way to think about this,
Yeah.
and the possibility that there might be another way to approach any area in your life where you feel unhappy, and know that you're not the only one. Everybody's got an area like that or areas like that, and they vary from time to time for all of us. None of us are exempt from that kind of, you know, up and down of the human condition. But in understanding more what happiness means to you individually, not just because of what somebody taught you it was, or what somebody showed you that they thought it was, or what somebody showed you that they thought it wasn't, or whether they said that that was the only thing worth in life worth pursuing, or they said that, you know, it's dangerous, stay away from it, you're just going to bring yourself nothing but heartache when you realize that you no matter what you do, you're not going to ever be happy. What we are most interested in is, how do you feel about that? And what choices do you get to make about where happiness shows up or doesn't show up in your life? Why and when and how come? The more and more you're in awareness and command of one of the things I think that fundamentally makes us really joyous, which is choice, the more and more you're in command of your own choice, like you're choosing what it is that you want to value. You're choosing what it is that brings meaning to you. You know, the dynamic that we described earlier of how, like, joyous people who enjoy on their own terms tend to feel, whether they are or not, almost doesn't matter, it's a separate thing, but they tend to feel luckier.
Yeah.
And why is that? Because joy is connected to peace. So when we're at peace, literally that means we're in a place of really open acceptance. Like we're making decisions, we're making choices, we're identifying desires, pursuing them, recognizing that the accomplishment of a desire just begets more desire. Like we want the next iteration of that. That peaceful place allows us to see resistance as an opportunity and not an obstacle. And that, I think, is part of what makes us actually experience what we're calling happy, because it's focused on the journey, not the destination.
Yeah. So A, that's awesome. Thank you. High five, except quietly because there's a microphone. Thank you. And B, okay, what does that mean for you in your life moving forward? How do you actually do that? A, we come back to the homework, because every time you build space in your brain, rewire the negativity bias towards neutrality, it gives you more space for positivity. It also gives you space to realize where you are not having to work with a negativity bias. When I look at myself as a kid, my 8th birthday present, which was the most awesome birthday present, my parents gave me literally a little red wagon. Why did I get a little red wagon? Whatever normal answer you're thinking of, probably not that. It was because I was a tiny little person and I couldn't carry enough books home from the library. So they got me a wagon so I could max out how many books I could, because I was bringing books back at that point. I'd go to the library every day usually and bring back at least the 8 books that I was allowed. And then I think they bumped me up to 10 or 12 because they were just like, oh my God, come back every second day. When I'm looking at where I have negativity bias in my head, it's not usually around reading. There's something there that I find very joyous and very freeing, that feels very essential to who I am as a human. So that's thing number one with the homework on what this means for you actually allowing yourself to play with happiness and joy. And thing number two is the more we can do neutrality practice, the more we can allow ourselves to change the stories of the people that we ascribe to the people around us without even thinking of it. So if you're, I've got so many examples in my head. If you have, I've got one client who's always late, 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, always late. I could, if my negative brain was going, I could do the whole, like, they don't respect my time. How dare they? I'm not giving them extra time. I'm right. There's going to be stories in our head. When we're neutral about it, the fact is this person is likely to be 5 or 10 minutes late because every time I have seen them, they have been 5 to 2 minutes late. Now, when they come in, I'm happy to see them because whatever they're working on, whatever's running them, because they walk out. I'm so sorry. I tried to do this. Like, it is obvious they were working their tail off. Whatever subconsciously was driving them. They're not doing this on purpose to be a jerk. And when they come in, and I get to be beautifully neutral, then they just go, okay, I kind of hate myself for being late. I'm upset with myself, but you're not upset with me. And now that becomes a story in their head that they are allowed to change faster as a result. Now, I can also take that and go, yeah, I'm going to build in a 10. I'm not sure what's dinging. I'm not sure if anybody can hear that dinging, but there is a dinging on our side.
Might be our timer wrap up. We are burning through the time.
We are. And the fabulous Nicole will let us know when we are out of time. So when you have that space in your head, you can give that space to the people around you. And whether that's your kids or your partner or your friends or your colleagues or your students or your coworkers, when you can just assume that people are where they are for a fact and not give them a negative story, it gives them room to give you the actual story. It gives you room to wonder about the story, and you don't have to have it reflect on you. Homework. Exciting and new. That was the Love Boat.
That was. I'm silent. Asking in the 80s.
There is no follow-up to the Love Boat as homework.
I really hope that we've given you an opportunity to.
P.S. I'm hilarious. That also helps with happiness. Feel free to be hilarious, and feel free if you don't think you're hilarious, to look. That can be part of your homework too. Look for the things that are funny, because the chemical cocktail in your brain that happens when you laugh, if they could duplicate that, they would not need any antidepressants, any anxiety meds. This is not my opinion. This is, many science people talking about this, because when we have a lot of anger and stress and sadness and things going on all the resultant chemicals in our brain, they get neutralized by laughing. So that's homework number 2. And you were saying something about the Love Boat?
Oh, it was awesome. That's all I got. Loved that show.
How are we doing for time?
Well, I can't remember when you started, because I know we started a few minutes late. So,
much though.
Just if you got any more, if not, you can just do some shameless self promotion. We're all good.
Oh, we always have more. Do you have any sign on? Because for me, it's the homework. I'm so excited. If anybody does want to email in next time about the homework, I will be so, like, what's working, what isn't working, what that meant to you, where you're stymied. I will be so excited, because this is so simple, not easy. Don't beat yourself up if it isn't easy, but so useful. Do you have any thoughts on this matter, sir?
I'm just really thrilled to see what people do with these ideas, what they come back with, what they kick around. And we're super open and would love to hear things that are like, well, that didn't work, or that didn't make sense, or wow, that made me think about this in an entirely different way. Because wherever we open up possibility, we open up the possibility for choice. Wherever we open up the possibility for choice, we open up the possibility for personal power. Because it's not so much the things that we get to choose from, it's that we get to choose that I really feel is the place where joy and happiness start to intersect and feed one another in a very, very profound and uniquely powerful way. So
Yeah.
thrilled as I'll get out to have had this conversation, to have shared it with everyone.
Yeah.
Looking forward to any and all questions, thoughts, feedback, experience. Try these things out, and we'd love to talk about them again and hear how they went for you. If you played with them a little or a lot, that's a great opportunity for all of us to keep learning and growing.
I love that. And I have one more thing that just came to me while you're saying that. If you think I have better things to do than happiness, that does not change the world. Buzzer. They have done studies. When we are happy, it changes the world around us. But they have also done a crap ton of studies, that is a technical term, that when a certain number of people meditate, just get to neutral in any given city, crime goes down. That's adjusted from this year, this happened, there's more or less police. When people get to neutral, crime goes down. You being neutral changes the world for the better and literally impacts the lives of people you have never met. Imagine what you being happy will do for people you've never met.
I've always said all along, imagine if most of us around the world were doing that at the same time.
Oh,
right? Be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's super powerful too, because it doesn't require any denial. No one's, and certainly none of the three of us are suggesting that sometimes life isn't really hard and really unfair and really difficult and feels overwhelmingly challenging.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about and why we're talking about it is instead of just toughing it out and grinding it through, which sometimes you just have to do in life, what about if you cultivate these other ideas and wake up that part of you that recognizes that it does have the power to be in co-creation with anything? Like, we can't choose what always happens to us, but we can choose how we face and respond to it. And that doesn't require any denial. In fact, it requires acceptance. So none of this is about pretend or forced positive thinking, or really it just comes down to being, hey, I'm going to start shifting my focus more consciously. And maybe I'll play with that for a while and not have to put my head in the sand and act like there aren't hard things in the world, and not have to be pulled under the idea that there are only hard things in the world, because that's not true either. So that's where we are called to ourselves, and we're really excited to invite everybody to just, hey, let's take a look at it together and see what we find.
Okay. Well, you guys are awesome. I'm gonna have to listen to the show because I missed it all today as we're rehearsing like madcap people in the other room for our upcoming expo performance.
Fantastic. So good.
That's fun.
That's fun. That's happy. That's joyous.
Yeah, it is happy. It's always happy. I love it. But shameless self-promotion. Let's do some of that.
All right.
Shameless self-promotion. If you come to the digitaldojo.net, you can sign up for our newsletter. We do not sell your list because we're not jerk-faced jerks. And we will tell you.
Never will.
And never will. And we will tell you exciting things, including we've got a whole new class in a whole new way coming up in the new year, and you'll be the first ones to find out about it. And here is me saying something that Dana will never say, because that's just not who he is. Dana was interviewed in Authority magazine, and he is an authority, folks. I've known that for years. So we're going to be sending out a newsletter, and we'll probably have the link on the digitaldojo.net as well, so you can find out why he is an authority on martial arts. And he's looking suitably.
I'm blushing now, so screw we're on the radio, because I'm just sharing thoughts and ideas. It was a super big honor and privilege to be selected from a whole bunch of candidates that were asked to submit interview opportunities, and we're super blessed that I got chosen. And it's a little weird, but fun and exciting. And again,
I'm so proud of you.
In the same spirit, I'm just excited to open up a conversation with people.
Yeah,
and I got a chance to talk about my experience, and I'm thrilled that I hope that it invites people to tell me about theirs.
So thedigitaldojo.net, and we've got videos and all sorts of stuff on there. New class coming soon, but really sign up for the newsletter and we will send you fun things and not fun, dumb things. That is our promise.
And we'll do our best to not annoy you with any of them. Constant bombardment, not selling stuff, just sharing information.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you guys are awesome as always. And the good news is they're on twice a month now, second and fourth
Yay!
Wednesday.
So exciting.
Which feels much better. It was really weird how we felt before. Yeah, it feels way better.
Thank you for the invitation for us to do it. Thanks for pointing it out to us and being so honest about, hey guys, like it seems like it's been a really long time since you were back. Should we change that?
Literally felt like I missed your show. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah,
It's like,
amazing.
Oh my God.
That's phenomenal.
In the meantime, Dana and Colleen are all linked up at newsforthesoul.com. The digital Dojo is what you're looking for. And thanks, guys, for being here and running with it and going with the flow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.